So no Polish chips.
Is there any drinks or anything?
Oh, see.
You have any drinks or anything?
No waters, Robert?
It's not that kind of operation.
Sorry.
We can send the PA out to get them. Just don't look at anybody out there.
Hey, you don't want the fruit. Don't drink the punch out there because they mix it with their hand.
This is Garden Grove. She's in the right neighborhood.
I've seen them.
Don't look anybody in the eye.
You might see a cousin.
I think I do have some.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, I turned it on.
Look at that handsome devil with the cowboy.
Damn, it's like a sex symbol, intercontinental.
He's famous. He's big in Mexico.
He's big right next to me.
It's not saying much. All right, everybody, we're here. We're live at Full Contact Fanatics. Don't forget, you can always check out onthemat.com to get all the latest information, news. Got some videos and stuff going up there, as well as Lucky Gee. You can go to myluckygee.com. As a matter of fact, we're talking to Erik. Well, real quick before we start talking about that, I got Dondo in the house, sitting directly to my left. Got Miguel's going to sit in the producer's chair today, and sitting directly to my right, Erik Apple. Erik, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, what's up?
Let me tell you something. I've been trying to get Erik for quite some time, but he's been so busy, it's just ridiculous. But as soon as Miguel turns down his computer, then people can hear what I'm talking about. But we're gonna get into some news. We're gonna talk a little bit. Got some stuff to talk about. But before we went on the air, I was talking to Erik, and I haven't seen you in a long time, but I was talking about the last time
Do I
that
still
I
look
saw
good?
you. Yeah, look the same.
All right.
This man like never changes. He's
right.
looked the same since the beginning. Because like when you saw when I posted when we were advertising that we were going to have Erik on, he's to me he's one of the guys, because I worked for Tap Out for such a long time, but he's one of the guys that helped bring MMA to the forefront, especially with Hitman Fight Gear and stuff like that. I remember the best. What's the show that they do before? It's called the Countdown to UFC.
Yep.
When they first started doing that, and Babalu was going to fight Chuck Liddell, I think for the second time. Mm-hmm. That was probably one of the best countdowns that they had.
They're exciting.
Because Erik got him. I think he got him hooked up with the cell phone company or whatever, and he was my new sponsor and everything. Real quick before we get into the news and stuff like that, to me, that's when it seemed like MMA was not only starting to come to the forefront and really starting to get out there, but it was a lot more fun back then.
Well, it was fun because it wasn't so popular. So we like people like us or myself, we were like the gatekeepers to this cool thing, and the rest of the world didn't know much about it and wanted to know about it, and they had to go through people like me.
Right, that's what I'm talking. And I worked for Tap Out, but I thought Hitman Fight Gear was cool, man. I really liked their stuff. I thought
they did have cool gear.
Yeah. And
now it's collector stuff all the way.
We'll talk about that because I was talking to Miguel earlier about how when the first time I went to the Tap Out warehouse, they had one little small warehouse to the right. The second time I went back, they owned the whole cul-de-sac, and they had a whole separate warehouse for Hitman Fight Gear.
Yeah.
And Hitman Dan had his own office and with the key card and all kinds of junk. So we're going to talk about that. Get into that a little bit.
I know a lot of information about all those lawsuits and stuff.
Oh, dude, I
don't have an NDA, so I can say whatever I want.
So much. And
that's the man.
I think that's why some of them don't talk to me as much as they used to. But I'm not. Hey, it's water under the bridge, and it was a big part of what brought MMA to the forefront. So we're gonna talk about a little bit about that with Erik once we get going. But of course, got to talk about the news. Had the big fights over the weekend with Bellator. Now, Gegard Mousasi. Great fighter. Moved over. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of people from the UFC starting to come over to Bellator. Ryan Bader, Phil Davis.
The line's huge.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Roy McDonald. A lot of them are starting to come over.
And they're making real money. Matt Mitrione, too.
Right. And now they put him up against Shlemenko. And when they put him up against Shlemenko, I said, dude, this guy can fight. He's pretty well versed in everything. I think he's going to give him a fight.
Well, Shlemenko has something like 40, 50 fights, maybe more.
Yeah.
And then he's Russian, so he's tough.
Right.
So we got two things on his side right there. One thing is that he's super undersized for 185.
When he fought
Tito, he was 50 pounds smaller. So I see Shlemenko in the gym. He comes to Rook all the time, and I was welterweight, and I can make welterweight right now, and I'm bigger than him. So him fighting he must not cut at all. He must just show up.
And he hit Gegard with the first punch and just automatically swelled up his eye.
Yep.
And it just, you could tell it completely changed.
Devastating blow.
Yeah, it completely changed his game plan. He started trying to take him down. And to me, even though he was going for the takedown, Shlemenko was getting the harder punches in, and I thought he should have won a split decision.
Sure.
Gegard ends up getting the decision, on that specific one. Give us your take on that fight. You think, you know, they say never let it go to the judges, which unfortunately it did. How did you have it?
Well, first of all, I believe Gegard won the first 2 rounds.
Okay.
I think it was close, but I thought he won the rounds. The one thing that I trip out of is when guys say, like, I got robbed or I can't believe this. It's like, well, you let a fight go to the end and it was close. So at this point, I don't feel sorry for you.
Right.
If it was close, it is what it is. Like, you left it up to somebody else. You didn't finish the fight. You had him hurt. He only had one eye. So it's a good thing for Shlemenko on one hand because he had a good performance and he almost beat Mousasi.
Right.
But it's a bad thing on the other hand because he had Mousasi hurt early. He pretty much lost a vision in one eye, and then he still was able to hang in there and keep the fight close, or maybe win, which he did win.
Yeah.
But, you know, whether you believe he won or not is up to you. But the point is, the fight was close and he only had one eye, so that doesn't really look that good on you.
And you could tell he was trying to come from that side to get him on
Sure.
the blind side.
You want to exploit that.
But Gegard kept his hands up, and when he get close enough, he'd shoot in
And do what
get
he
him to the
does.
ground and start working. So you could kind of see it both ways or whatever.
Sure.
But anyways, Gegard gets his decision from there. What do you think's next for him?
Gegard has a broken orbital. It's been confirmed, so he's on the way home.
I'm
He
assuming he'll be out for a little while.
He
Yeah.
flew home to Holland today, or the Netherlands, as some people like to call it. Do you know any other place that has so many names? Holland is also called the
Yeah.
Netherlands, but if they're from there, you're called Dutch.
Yes, you are.
It's like 3 different things. I don't know.
Yes.
So he's on his way back to the
I'm very
Netherlands
familiar
already.
with it.
He's gonna have you have to have surgery on your if you break an orbital bone, you have to have it fixed because otherwise your eyeball will start to slide down
Right.
your face. So he's got to get that fixed. He'll be out 4 months at least, maybe 6.
Which, you know, legitimately, that's, you know, you usually take a few months off even after a fight, even if you don't break your orbital
But
bone.
Mousasi
Sure.
likes to fight a lot. He always has. He has 40, 50 fights. As
He's
well.
very active.
Yeah.
Right, but who's in that division for him?
Yeah, especially at Bellator, right?
Yeah. Who's
Well,
in that
Alessio Sakara is fighting. He is the challenger in a title fight coming up here in the Bellator Italy show in a couple weeks.
Right.
And Alessio Sakara is a star. I don't know if you guys remember him. He fought in the UFC for quite a while. Remember, he's fully
Yeah,
tattooed.
yeah.
His last name is Sakara. He's
More of a stand-up guy.
He was a professional boxer.
Yeah.
He's Italian. He's from Rome. His family was the original Roman family that was instructed by the Caesar
Yeah.
to oversee Saqqara in Egypt, which is where the pyramids are. That's why his name's Alessio Saqqara. So that place in Egypt, it wasn't called Saqqara before. They named it after his family.
Pretty heavy.
So he's like, you could trace his family all the way back to like the time of Christ.
Yeah.
Man, and he's been around for a long time.
Alessio's been around a long time. I trained with that guy 12, 15 years ago in Vegas, some other places, and he's a tough dude.
Yeah, no doubt.
Real tough boxer. Saqqara's one of those guys that, like, he hits you, and you be like, all right, stop.
Right.
Relax.
Yeah, now, real quick,
Turn that
Stop
phone
that
off
shit.
over there
yeah,
too.
before we move on to the
Somebody-
women's fight, do you think? To me, we talked about this on the show before. To me, I like the fact that Bellator is really starting to bring it around. It gives the guys somewhere else to go because UFC actually has the.
Yeah, of course, the more competition,
Yes,
the better.
it's the main. You know, now to me, we talk about a lot about this on the show. I don't know exactly how it works, but it seems to me once they got the Reebok deal, that kind of, because you go to Bellator, you can get your sponsors there. You can kind of
There's more money to be had.
get whoever you want. Does that make a big difference when a fighter's thinking about once his contract's up at UFC in league?
Well, for certain fighters that have something to advertise, I mean, Ryan Bader got a great deal. Roy McDonald got a great deal. All these guys are making over $300,000, $400,000 a fight. I know for a fact.
Right.
Same with Matt Mitrione. Mitrione making good money, and he can get and if you're marketable, then it's worth it to you.
Right.
There are some people who you can send to Bellator tomorrow, and they're still not going to be sponsors. No one cares about them.
Yeah.
But guys like Matt Mitrione, Roy McDonald, Chael Sonnen, these are people that can go out and get $100,000 worth of sponsors right away.
Those are the guys we want to watch. It
Yeah.
makes a difference,
It,
right?
it makes sense for those guys, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
And Viacom has the money. Remember, Viacom's the third largest media company on earth.
Right. I just think it's good that they have it somewhere else to go instead of staying in the UFC and
Sure.
kinda, what's it called? Kind of just hanging out and riding out the contract
Yeah.
or whatever. So it's good. Now we took it around the horn before we went on the air. Nobody got to see the women's fight. It was Heather Hardy against Christine.
I saw the highlights. They were
I know it was real tough.
devastating.
Let me tell you something. Heather Hardy came out. She's a good stand-up fighter. You could tell her game plan was to keep her hands up and try to keep moving and get inside. This girl, Katie Williams,
Wasn't having anything
was
to do with it.
all wrong for her.
Yeah.
She was tall. I mean, she would come in and she would catch her with at least 1 or 2 punches before she would even close that distance.
And shut it down.
When she did close the distance, she would hit her with an elbow. And within the first 2 minutes of the round, she was a bloody mess.
So Heather Hardy was a boxing champion, correct?
Yes.
And she only has a few MMA fights?
Right.
The one problem I have was I heard it was an exciting fight, but real devastating. But the one problem I have is I feel like this right now we have so many cards between Bellator and UFC. The sport's getting really watered down, and we're seeing people with 2 and 3 fights fighting on the main card in either UFC or Bellator, which is to me is shockingly it's pathetic.
Right.
3 fights, you're fighting on the main card. Like, what's going on? Like, I remember when I was first fighting MMA. If you were in the UFC at all, you were a superstar. And I remember seeing really tough, really badass dudes who couldn't even get in the UFC, and they were like, that record's like 25-3, and they still were in the UFC. It's huge.
He makes sense there.
Yeah.
He makes sense.
We know guys like that.
It's watered down.
You know what?
There's guys who have a couple fights who are just in the UFC like no big deal now.
Yeah.
It used to be a big big thing.
Deal,
oh shit! I understand you fought, but you actually fought in the UFC once. Oh my god! Now it's like I see kids who have no idea what they're doing.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
That's a good point. Like when they go to Brazil, they want to put as many Brazilians on the card as possible.
Yeah, and we never heard of them.
They bring these guys in. And
some of the worst ones I've seen are the European cards, especially like the ones in Scandinavia and stuff. They have the one in like Glasgow, Scotland. They have several people with 3-4 fights on the main card.
See,
unbelievable.
That's why we have guys like Erik because that happens a lot. We'll start talking about the pay-per-view. Robert will pull it up, and there's 2 or 3 people that I've never even heard of.
At least.
Yeah, until you see them in the thing. So in the cage. So it does make a good point there.
That's why we jump to the main card a lot of times, because that undercard is filled with people that we may not know.
Exactly. Real quick, Robert, that picture that you got right there, can you put that up behind us real quick? That's Heather Hardy. That's after the first round, I believe.
Oh, it's a bloody mess.
Mistaken. She was already bloodied up and battered. Now, real quick, before we get, because in the second round, she ducked in. I don't know if she was trying to shoot or whatever. But
she ate a kick, right?
She caught her with the high kick that just got her right. It sounded like a baseball bat.
Can you click on just the picture?
You can see.
Huge.
You can see the guys at cage side.
Yeah.
You can see their faces go, oh my God, because she just. And then they brought the doctor, and the doctor took one look, said, "That's it."
Her nose is no bueno.
Erik, who's been in the MMA scene for years. This is my question to you, because we've tossed this around not only on this show but when I had the Wednesday show. You see that girl coming back to the corner?
Isn't it Wednesday? No, it's Monday.
You see your fighter coming back to the corner like that.
Yeah.
Is it wrong for you to say, "Hey, look, man, you're busted up, really bad. Let's just live to fight another day. I want to stop this fight"?
Well, I'm an old school guy, and so I came from Who Lost Valley too, which there's no quit.
Right.
So if I had a fighter like that, I'd probably, instead of saying that, I would say, "How you feeling?
Right.
Yeah.
Are you feeling ready to go for this next round?" And I would gauge it off of that response.
Even if it's a woman?
Yeah.
I don't, because I watched that. There's only 2 fights that I've really cringed. First one was that one.
And you're going to say Jessica Penne.
Jessica Penne against Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah.
But also when Misha
destroyed
fought Kat Zingano.
Oh, yeah.
Because she hit her with 3 knees just direct on the face. I forgot about Jessica Penne.
It was a bloody mess.
That one for sure. I mean, come on, man. She was just really taking.
But I know Jessica, and she's so tough. Like, she wouldn't want to quit.
That one maybe, because I know her too. I've talked to her a lot, especially at that hangar when we had the RFA up there. Really nice person, and it just to see her take the shots like that. Now, if that does happen, and you say, well, I mean, there's no way you're going to win this fight. Let's live to fight another day. She gets mad at you. I mean, do you mind if she says, "You know what, I don't like the way you stopped the fight. I'm a fighter. I want to keep fighting. I'm moving to another camp"? I mean, would you think that's something that comes into play, or do you just like, doesn't matter?
I mean, it would have to be pretty overwhelming for me to tell my fighter, like, "Hey, let's not even fight this last round." I mean,
Erik has the experience.
I mean, if you have a whole round to go, now if they're visually beat up, visually ugly, broken nose, but if they're breathing okay and they have some energy, and if you feel like they have some fight in them, I don't care what it looks like.
Sure, and a lot of heart.
You get some stitches.
Yeah.
Get it fixed.
Yeah, maybe that's just me because of the women. I see them and I'm like, man, she's taking.
Yeah, but the women these days, they fight. They know they have something more to prove because they're new on the scene.
Right.
And in general, I notice all the time. I feel like the girls are fighting their asses off more than half the guys.
Yeah,
a lot of guys are fighting not to lose. These girls are out there. They got something to prove.
Yeah, like they have no filter. They just go.
These girls got something to prove. They want to go out there and kill.
Exactly. Makes a lot of sense. anyway, she just got caught. I mean, just perfect. It couldn't have been any better. And the girl she fought had zeros across the board. That was her pro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that to me is crazy. She had no fights, and she's fighting on the main card? It's craziness. It's crazy.
So, anyway, she goes on to win it. She was all wrong for her. She was just way too tall, had way too many kicks and punches. So, I think both of them are going to be back. But also, Neiman Gracie fought. They put him up against a guy named, like you say, Buchia, who I've never heard of before in my life. Of course, gets him to the ground, chokes him out, gets the rear naked, which everybody kind of knew what was
See ya, Buchia.
Yeah.
He's out of there.
Neiman Gracie, now, they talking about bringing him to the main card. That's a name right there. We talked about this on the show.
And he has some wins. He doesn't have just one fight or two fights. He's got several wins now.
Exactly. But I was going through the whole Bellator lineup of who they have signed fighters. Now they have Halleck Gracie. He's signed to a Bellator contract. To me,
the G and a G.
Yes.
G and a
to
G.
me,
I like that name.
I think that dude could be a moneymaker. I think that kid could be a
Halleck's got his own. He's got some other issues going on. He's still trying to pay people for competing in Metamoras. I'm told
he's in Bellator, or whatever. But to me, if I was what's his name that runs the whole thing? Because it's not the Russian guy anymore.
Yeah.
Who? Scott Coker.
Scott Coker.
Did you say the Russian? He wasn't Russian.
Bjorn Rebney.
Bjorn is not Russian.
Is that what it is?
Bjorn is not Russian, guys, just so you know.
I took a shot.
Bjorn is a Scandinavian name.
I'm Mexican. I thought for sure Russian.
God, you guys are so racist.
Yeah.
Racists.
So Scott Coker.
What kind of toe is it?
A Brazil toe.
Yes, it's a Brazil nut. I think you can make some money with this kid. I think he would be a draw. I mean, if you can get him in there, get him and say, look, man, I'm going to pay you a specific amount of money to really start training. Give him some incentive.
Sure.
If you have these 2 wins, I will pay you X amount of dollars. I think it could be a draw.
Do you think people are waiting for another Gracie to come out?
Well, there already is one, but he's fighting Japan, Crone. And he's already beat legit guys. He's beat a couple legit guys in Japan. He's fighting in Risen. He's fighting at 145, I believe, and he's undefeated thus far. And he does have some personality. The problem is with Halleck and Neiman is there's not much to market. It's not that they're not good at what they do. They're not ugly. There's nothing wrong with them. Well, Halleck's kind of a ginger. Yeah. But I'm being funny. No, but the point is like they're not super marketable. Crone, on the other hand, he's got a little bit of mystique to him. He's going like the Hickson thing. Right. You know what I mean? He's kind of running that whole program, and it's working for him. That's why he's doing well and making money in Japan.
That's cool.
And Crone is one of those guys. I just had this conversation the other night at a party in Hollywood. Somebody was asking about Crone, and I said, he's the only person that I know that I am definitely stronger than, and when I trained with him, I couldn't stop him. He would be doing stuff. I knew what he was going to do, and his technique is so good, I just couldn't stop it. And I'm stronger than him for sure.
Yeah.
Just because I'm bigger than him is not. It's not that I'm just that pound for pound or whatever. I'm just a bigger guy, and I couldn't stop him because he's that good.
But isn't that Hickson's philosophy? It shouldn't matter how big they are or whatever. If you're worried of going, then your jiu-jitsu is not that good.
It develops.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, it sounds like something he would say. I believe you.
Well, hey.
Sounded convincing to me.
Yeah, I heard it somewhere. I can't remember where, but I think it was on Joe Rogan podcast when he actually had him on there.
I've actually trained with Hickson more than once.
Oh, well, tell us how that was.
Well, first of all, he wanted to do the thing where he puts his hands in his belt, and he does not allowed to use his hands. And I said, I'm not going to let you make a fool of me with no hands. So if you're going to make a fool of me, you'll do it with your hands. Wow. That was one of the things. I've seen him do it. He lines up, puts his hands in his belt, and has people come at him. He just uses legs, and he taps people with triangles and stuff.
Jeez, oh my.
With no hands.
Yep.
And I'm getting tapped out by 8-year-old kids. That's amazing, man. That's crazy. Well, I think, hey, man, bring Crone out here. I mean, he's still young. Like you said, if you can market him the right way, I think he can do well.
I could see Crone competing in Bellator. I doubt he'd compete in UFC. He's had pretty negative things to say about the UFC in the media and the press before. But, I mean, Risen's not known to pay people really well, especially, foreigners. But foreigners who fight there repeatedly and have built a following, they can make some money. I imagine he's making decent money over there.
Yeah, that's what we talked about that too, because I'm not too familiar with Risen, but they are trying to get some people out there. Speaking of that, they booked Ben Askren to fight Aoki for November 24th.
Yep, interesting fight.
Now,
I'll still watch.
Yeah,
I'd love to see Aoki fight.
About that,
that's a great fight.
Yeah.
It can go one of two ways.
I see the Hawaiian nodding. What are you nodding about, Hawaiian? Grab that microphone.
I honestly think that Ben
can you hear him? Put him on the mic.
And
Get a microphone.
Asker to beat Aoki.
Yeah.
It would be overwhelmingly surprising if Aoki was able to sub Askren. I mean, Askren's been training with the best grapplers on the planet.
Right.
And he's bigger than Aoki. So he's got two things going for him. I'd be really shocked if Aoki was able to do it. I mean, you saw Aoki's able to out-grapple, good MMA guys, but when you put Aoki in with, like, world-class grapplers, like Gary Tonin, he got tapped quick. Tonin tapped him quick. So,
animal.
that's also just another example of how 10 years ago, I could go, as a top welterweight in MMA, I could go compete against a top grappler and hang in there.
Right.
No more. No way. Gary Tonin would eat me up in 45 seconds. He would tap me out in a minute or two. I guarantee it.
But what's the difference, though?
Because sports jiu-jitsu has evolved so much separately from MMA into it's a different sport. So a lot of the moves and a lot of the submissions that they're attempting, they wouldn't work in MMA.
Sure.
It's a totally different sport.
Right.
It didn't used to be like that. Grappling used to be based in MMA. Now it's such a different playing field. Those guys are doing stuff that just, I don't know what happened. What was that?
Yeah. But when I saw Gary Lee Tonin against DJ Jackson, it was amazing because DJ just on I don't even know what the word, like it was a fireball, dude. He just went straight, like didn't even think about it. Didn't think, this is Gary Lee. But he just went right after him and ended up beating him. But real quick before we go on, do you think that's EBI, Eddie Bravo, the way he changed the whole jiu-jitsu sport? On one hand, it's good, excuse me, because they're making good money and they can actually work towards.
I mean, it's great to see guys making a living now just grappling.
But then you got these people who say, "Oh no, you got to be old school jujitsu in the gi and work to pass the guard and stuff like that."
Who cares? I wouldn't pay attention to those people for 1 minute. Who cares?
Right.
They're not putting on tournaments that are paying anybody. So beat it.
I think that's.
Cares what you think.
I think that's the consensus, right?
People like Eddie Bravo.
People
like Eddie Bravo are making it are creating. They're creating their own industry and creating the possibility for guys like Jake Shields and Gary Tonin to now go get paid for grappling only.
Right.
So I mean, how awesome is that for Eddie Bravo? He's helping other people make money. Like even people who aren't a part of his team, they're not a part of 10th Planet. He doesn't train them, but they're able to come and make money in his promotion. How awesome is that?
It's like what I said before when Grappler's Coach was over at the Durango High School in Las Vegas.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it because I went to go compete there and the super fight was Hermes Franca against somebody. That dude was outside in the gi smoking a cigarette.
Hermes Franca, the other guy.
Before Hermes.
Hermes Franca smoking cigarettes in jail now.
Well, yeah, that's a different story. But I mean, just to see him
giving it up.
Yeah, but now people, they have strength and conditioning coaches, and it's you train, and it's a legitimate.
Yeah, you have a fight camp for a jiu-jitsu tournament.
Yeah,
before,
for sure they do.
But you don't see them out there smoking a cigarette before they hit the mat.
No,
not everybody.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Only person that does that is Joe Schilling now.
Oh, jeez.
He still does that.
I heard Sakuraba used to smoke like a chimney too before.
Oh yeah, for sure. You guys ever remember the story? You remember when they did? This is probably 2001 when they did Pride versus K1.
Yes.
So they had like all the K1 stars fight against the Pride stars. Mm-hmm. Some were kickboxing bouts, some were MMA bouts. Now, if you remember, one of the craziest matchups was they had Don Fry fight a kickboxing match against Jerome Lebonaire, who is 50 pounds bigger than Lebonaire. He's
50 pounds younger.
Oh, and he's like 50 pounds bigger than Fry. He's like 6'4", 6'5", 280. He's a monster. I don't know if you want to bring up a picture of Lebonaire.
Yeah.
He is an absolute monster. Remember, he finished Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
He did all this stuff. They booked him in this big New Year's fight. Now, Lebonaire was so insulted that they even created this matchup. He was pissed, right? He said, "How dare you guys even put this person in the ring with me?" He goes, "It's embarrassing. Obviously, they have no chance. You're insulting me, you're insulting him, and you're insulting the crowd." So Lebonaire, he did this little documentary thing where he promised he would not train for the fight. He said, "I'm going to smoke and drink every day. I will not train for this fight. I will fly to Tokyo the day of the fight, get off the plane, and go straight to the fight, and I will beat up Don Fry." He filmed and did the whole thing, and he went to the fight smoking, taped up, beat up Don Fry in like 90 seconds, and fucking left.
I love it.
It's amazing. Amazing story.
That's a documentary that needs to be made.
Oh, how cool. Like, he was so insulted. He's like, "I'm not going to train for this. This is incredibly embarrassing. I don't know why you guys would do this." And he literally didn't do it. And he'd video himself smoking, drinking, hanging out every day, getting fat.
Yeah, and Don Fly was a part of a different time of fighting, right? Come on.
If he would have trained and
yeah, that's an action figure.
Debonair's a monster.
Yeah,
some serious damage.
I always wonder who holds pads for that dude. I mean, he's a K1 champion. He's beat up guys like Hunt, Crow Cop. He's bigger than all of them. I can't imagine what holding pads for him would feel like.
Yeah. Hyperextend your shoulders, your elbows, everything.
I can't imagine just catching kicks with those pads.
It'd have to be, what if it was something like Ray Longo?
Oh, gosh.
When we're talking about guys who are in shape that are trainers and stuff.
They lit you up.
Anyways, real quick before we continue, you're here. You have Full Contact Fanatics here on Free Admission. Don't forget, you can always check out onthemat.com to get all the latest information. Check out some of the videos. Got a bunch of stuff coming up with there. Rafael Lovato Jr., they put some videos of him up there, so make sure you check that out, as well as myluckygee.com. Got the gees in today. So Dondo and Miguel are going to show those on the air. We're going to film all that. So definitely want to check that out.
We have a fashion show?
We do.
It's going to be Wednesday. But,
the Brown Runway.
We talked about it last week.
Go Doyers.
I have a lucky gee, and it's just an honor to get choked.
He's got a finger right across the screen. You forgot you have orangutan arms.
Good job. But we're talking to
What
Erik.
kind of nut?
He's got two Brazils on him.
And like I was saying before, been wanting to get him on for a long time because, coming up when the sport, that's when it was fun. I've seen Erik so many. I've seen him at WEC because I was always hanging with the Tap Out crew. I remember, I can't remember. I think it was when Dominic Cruz fought Uriah the first time, if I'm not mistaken.
I fought on that card.
Yes.
I fought Brock Larson on that card.
Yes, and I saw Erik, and he was. I think you were doing either some promo pictures or just they were filming some stuff of you in the cage, just throwing some punches and stuff like that. And I was with Charles and I think Punkass was there too. Mm-hmm. And they walked off and he comes out of the cage or whatever, and I see him and I say, hey, you look good, bro. I go, you looking good, you looking in shape and all that. And you go, hey, thanks a lot or whatever. And I'm walking away, I can hear it go, who the fuck was that? I said, dang it, man, or whatever. But ever since back then, I knew who Erik.
Story of my life.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna go up to go, hey, I'm Fabiano. I mean, he could tell he was.
Well, I was a little busy.
Yeah. Well, that's what
He's
happened.
got full mohawk on.
When Babalu opened up.
Not then. That was for the movie. That wasn't. I never fought like that. That was for Warrior.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. But when Babalu opened up in Cerritos. He had his place over there, and his manager said, "Yeah, you guys come down, man. Do a live show, whatever." He's getting ready to fight Robbie Lawler. Mm-hmm. I said, "Okay."
That was a great fight.
So we go down there, we set up and everything. Now Babalu's in full sparring gear. Got the headgear on. He's got. His
Babalu's worse than me. You don't want to even talk to him when he's getting ready.
He's warming up, and the other sparring partners are putting their stuff on, and his manager goes, "Oh yeah, go talk to him." Or whatever. And I go, dude, he's getting ready to spar. No, man, go ahead, go walk up there. I took like 2 steps up to the cage, and he turned around and looked at me like that, and I went, and I walked right back. And it was when this knucklehead, he was a comedian or something that had like some sort of show.
Jason Ellis, I remember.
Is that who it was?
Yeah.
Oh, Jason Ellis is fighting soon.
So he decides.
Jason Ellis is fighting obesity and homosexuality. That's about it.
He decides he wants to get in the cage with Babalu and spar with them to show. Well, I want to see what it's like to spar. And let me tell you something. I wish he
beat the shit out of Ellis. I seen a video of it.
God,
there's video of it. I don't know why.
He did not let up. He was hitting him. Boom!
Ellis had like one of those like things. He's like he wanted to get beat up. I don't know why. So he would just, and he was not very. I mean he has remedial skills. He can beat the average guy on the street, of course, but he's not really a pro fighter. He's done a couple pro fights to like feel like a pro fighter. Ellis is not a fighter.
And Babalu just did not
just
take
killed him. I seen it.
So he destroys this guy, and I'm thinking, we're not going to get this dude on the air. So I tell Sergio, go get him. And he goes, you go get him. and I said, so we forget it. So we never did get him on the air. Next thing I know, he changes. He's in really nice, brand new white
Mercedes CLS.
And I'm like, hey, we still have the show. And he goes, I'm taking my family to Big Bear. And he just drove off. And okay, and so he just left. So that was, we've had him on since then. But anyways, that's what's going on. So speaking of that, we're talking about the WEC. For me, that was the best time I ever had.
Those are some fun shows. Remember we fought the Hard Rock back when Hard Rock was cool.
Right.
And it was in what's the original hall there called? The
It was at the Hard Rock.
Yeah, but see what the room was
Yeah,
called.
you go downstairs.
The concert room,
and
yeah.
It's way down at the bottom.
It was dope. And they had the original Ultimate Fighter finale there.
Right.
There's a couple of original Ultimate Fighter finales, like Brandon Vera made his debut in UFC there.
Yeah.
Remember they had those great fights with Chris Liebman and Kenny Florian and Diego
absolutely.
Sanchez. All fought there. Nick Diaz.
And how was your relationship with Reed Harris?
So Reed's always been awesome. I mean, does anybody have anything bad to say about Reed? Who could say anything bad about Reed? Reed's amazing.
To you guys. But to us, he was always gloving up on us, and I got a belt in jiu-jitsu,
Really?
and all this. So he says, you guys come and roll with me. The weigh-ins were Friday, and I think the fights were Saturday. He says, you guys come and roll with me, and I'm like, all right, we'll come down, roll with you, whatever. So we get up that morning, and Charles comes up to us and he goes, you make him look like Randy Couture. You do not cinch him up. You make him look like the best jiu-jitsu guy from ever. So he, dude, and he's not a small guy.
Yeah.
And
was this in the cage downstairs?
No, it was.
Or did you go
at
to the gym or the locker room?
It was the hotel across the way. They had mats and stuff over there.
Oh, okay, I remember, yeah.
Stuff like that. So, the move where you get that cross-side position and Delio has you come up on the arm, you kind of lift him up towards you, and then you
Cross-side immobilization.
Yeah, and then you spin around and get the mount. I got that on him, and I was so happy. And I turn and look at Charles, and he's going, and that was it.
Because you took the wind out of him.
Yeah,
If you did it right.
So then the next time we went, we took Thomas Kenny with us, and he rolled with them and all that, and they told him the same thing. I'm like, or whatever. But always nice to us, over there. Well, plus we were with the Tap Out crew and all that. So.
That's cool.
The other thing is Reed was the person who he's the one who mentioned my name and suggested that I get that lead part in Warrior.
Right. That's what I heard. I was going to ask you
Yeah.
about that.
That's really cool.
So tell us how that all came about.
Man, I literally got a cold call out of the blue from a lady named Lisa Elzy, who was one of the VPs at Lionsgate. Word for word, she called me and said, "We're producing a feature film with Nick Nolte, Tom Hardy, Joel Edgerton.
Yeah.
It's a $50 million budget. Legit big movie. We have a lead part that we need an actual fighter to do it, and we need a fighter who can talk. And it's a short list. So do you want the job or not?"
Nice.
How can you say no to
Literally,
that?
and I was just like, "Wait, what? Who is this?" And she was like, you would immediately be you'd be what's called Taft-Hart lead. You'd immediately be part of SAG. I'd be part of Screen Actors Guild immediately, and I'd get paid full SAG rate for a lead actor.
Yeah,
I'd have my
great.
own trailer, the whole deal.
That's a great deal.
And luckily I consulted for Rockstar Energy Drink and Metal Militia, and they both allowed me to leave and go do this. So I was gone probably about half the time for a period of 9 months. I'd fly back and forth between Pittsburgh and LA.
Oh, it was filmed down in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I filmed in Pennsylvania because of the tax breaks that they give in those states. That's why California, a lot of people won't film here in California when the taxes are so high. So all the movies now go to other states or other countries. So I lived in Pittsburgh, beautiful place.
Yeah. Hey,
It's great.
Pittsburgh.
So
wonderful steel there.
yeah, but
Not anymore. They don't do it anymore.
Can't imagine. Well, at least the movie had a great screenplay. It played well. You picked
Yeah.
a good movie to be a part of.
It was it was a really cool. It was a cool experience. I had a lot of interest. People hitting me up to do other stuff afterwards.
I can only imagine.
I was going to say that didn't lead on to some more stuff.
I
That
wasn't.
was-
I wasn't interested. I wasn't very interested. I mean, you can make decent money, and I'll tell you right now, I still get checks from Warrior.
Absolutely.
I get every 2-3 months. I get a check for a couple $100.
It's on
that
cable
shows
all
up.
day long, right?
But
So,
after the movie, when it first came out, I got big checks, and those are the ones that just show up. You don't know how much you're gonna get,
Yeah. Right.
so you just randomly open the mail one day and you get 10 grand. You're like, woo! Like, yes,
Go Warriors.
You know what I mean? Stuff like that. That kind of stuff
everyone
shows up.
go watch Warriors.
So I mean, it was a good experience. I made a decent amount of money. I mean, I didn't
cool.
get rich off of it, but it wasn't like something I was like, oh man, I want to go live on set somewhere else next. That wasn't very.
It's
cool
a
to me.
lifestyle, yeah.
It's a big deal to leave your family, your friends, your girlfriend, whoever, and go live in Pittsburgh
Yeah.
and live in a hotel, and then hang out in your trailer all day and wait for them to use you for 10 minutes, and then you wait around all day again.
Yeah,
In some movies, especially big movies like this, they'll take you to the set, and you will sit there all day, and they won't even use you after 10 hours. They got to send you back.
Or you'll shoot
Crazy.
for a minute and a half.
Not even at all. You'll sit there 10 hours, and I'll just go, all right, we'll send you back. You're just like,
Yeah,
bro.
because that's what they did for us on Versus. We filmed at least 15 to 20 hours, and I got a minute and a half on Versus, and Sergio got like 30 seconds. out of all that. I mean, it's amazing. But talk about that, because I knew who Hitman Dan was only because he was in with Tap Out, and Erik Apple was always with the Hitman, especially with Babalu and stuff like that. And as a matter of fact, I was at the gym, same thing, at Babalu's Iron Gym in Cerritos, and you came in with a big bag of Metal Militia stuff. I think he was having it might have been the Lawler fight, if I'm not mistaken, or something, and you came in with a ton of stuff, and I'm like, dude, this is Christmas. You know,
Well, Metal Militia was when I started with Metal Militia, we were doing around $2-3 million a year, and when I left, we were doing $45 million a year in sales.
Huge.
So and as a marketing director there, I controlled a couple $100,000 budget every month. We spent millions of dollars a month on marketing, so we were dishing out a lot of clothes, and I expected my guys to be wearing Metal Militia head to toe.
Because they were mostly, motocross and stuff like that. Are you the one that steered them into the MMA?
Yeah, so I hosted X Games beginning in, I believe, 2000. Maybe 99. The first year they had X Games in San Francisco, I hosted X Games. I was hosting the freestyle motocross.
Yeah.
So I've been involved with those guys since the very beginning of that sport with Brian Deegan and those guys as well. So I helped him. Even before we were doing MMA, I helped him with start to connect motocross into surf, skate, snow lifestyle and like that kind of stuff. I got him into multiple surf shops selling Metal Militia. So I helped him kind of that way. Once they did the license deal with the Hoya Group, which is in Irvine, which is who really took him to the next level, they did that license deal. I helped put that license deal together, and I became the brand manager right away.
It's huge.
So I was really the first person, marketing wise or as an athlete, to start connecting MMA to action sports.
Right.
So I was sponsored by Rockstar Energy Drink when I was fighting in WEC, and before that when I was fighting in Total Combat, and I helped start to connect those two worlds. And it wasn't that hard, but I was just the first person who had high enough contacts on each side to really make it realistic. So then I started, I created an entire MMA team at Metal Militia and Rockstar. Rockstar Energy was spending over $10 million a year on MMA, mostly through Strikeforce. They were the title sponsor, and I sponsored huge guys in Strikeforce through Rockstar, guys like Nick Diaz, Jake Shields. I sponsored Verdum when he beat Fedor, which at that time nobody ever beat Fedor. I had Verdum had a Rockstar hat on, I had Rockstar on his shorts. So I sponsored some of the bigger guys, and then of course with Metal Militia we had myself, we had Babalu, Shane Del Rosario, Benji Raddick, Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, Gilbert Melendez, Jake Shields. I had like half the champions in Strikeforce, and the guys who weren't champions were really marketable guys, So we made a real big impact back then in Strikeforce. It was a good time.
Did you personally have to approach Nick or Nate Diaz and tell them, hey man, let's get to Metal Militia on you? Or
yeah, of course. So
tell us how that was, because I'll tell you my experience through Lucky Geek.
So I would never sponsor anybody that I don't want to work with, that I'm not already friends with. Right. I'm not the kind of guy to hit up somebody I don't know and be like, hey, I don't know you, but I would like to pay you this money to do this and wear this or use this product. I'm never going to do that. I'm only going to pay people who are already down with me and I'm already down with them and I want to work with them. So it wasn't really like that. It was funny, though, because that was back when Nick, it's funny because we hang out with Nick all the time, my girlfriend and I. We hang out with Nick all the time, and she just met him recently. So she doesn't know the old Nick. She knows this new, friendly, happy, social Nick.
Right?
And I always laugh. I'm like, that's not even Nick Diaz, just so you know. That's not the real Nick Diaz. Yeah. The real Nick Diaz, I was the first person to ever take him to Excess, the big club in Vegas.
Yeah.
I was the first person to ever take him there, and he went straight to the corner and put up against the wall and was like, what's up? And everyone walked up to him, he wanted to fight him. And I was like, no, they just wanted to argue.
I know, guy just like that.
So it's funny. It's funny how Nick has evolved. It's super funny.
Yeah, and Nate the same way.
Nate.
You saw that when he and Renato Laranja got into it.
Yeah.
Of
course.
The booth, and it's people think that's the way the dude is, man. And
they're from Stockton. It is real. Even though Nick and Nate are much more happy and sociable now, at the end of the day, they're still from Stockton. They ain't kidding.
Yeah, and on their behalf, there's a lot of knuckleheads that come up and act stupid around.
Sure, of
I
course.
saw that.
You're always going to get that.
Dude, what are you doing? I've had that happen a lot too. But just to be able to get something like Metal Militia that's coming strictly from motocross and just have that go into that avenue of MMA, because it was huge.
Yeah.
At one time, I was buying Metal Militia stuff at that point.
Did they take that name from the first Metallica record, or am I imagining things?
Metal Militia was a song on Kill 'Em All.
It was the song, the end song.
Yes, it was the first song on Metallica's first album, Kill 'Em All.
Yeah.
I love
When he
it.
brought that
I thought so. I wasn't positive.
Yeah, it was.
When he brought that big bag of stuff, I was like, man, I wish he'd go turn his back or something because I want to look at that bag, man. This is nice.
It's got the goods in the bag.
Gear,
You can take it from Bob Blue. What's he gonna do?
right. It was really cool. So then I knew Erik from that, and then Metal Militia, and bringing all that stuff, and then I didn't see you for quite some time after that till I saw you at the World Series of Fighting, which was probably good maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So just between
No,
that
it's been
time,
more than that. 4 years.
yeah, something
Now,
like that.
and one
You were
thing-
taking all the chairs from
Well,
your friends and putting them up right by.
well, so I-
taking them from the commission. Dude,
So I was consulting for World Series of Fighting, and I helped them with some marketing stuff. Some.
well, no wonder you're up right by the cage.
I was also working with the original owner, Sean Lampman.
Yeah.
I was working with them on bringing celebrities to the fights. I did that in Vegas. I did that in Southern California. Other athletes and stuff, people with big social media followings. And then I also, a lot of people don't know, that's the first time Monster Energy drink had anything to do with MMA, was that fight. So a lot of people don't know that I actually got the ball rolling, and I wrote the original business plan for Monster Energy with MMA.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that the fight where Tyrone Spong fought? I think his name was Angel Dianda?
Yes.
Dude,
And
when-
Spong was he winning the whole fight? He got knocked
Dude,
out at the end.
When I saw that, I thought, oh my God, this kid's gonna get killed.
And Ray Sefla fought. He was winning the whole fight, and then he gassed and lost to the other
The
dude.
guy caught him with the right hand. But you look.
And I think Tyson Griffin was the main event.
Yeah. Look, and the guy that only had one hand.
Yeah.
That was choking everybody
Yeah.
out. He was there too. That whole card was slamming.
Yeah, it was a good card.
To see Tyrone Spong in person, that
Scary.
Like
That dude's
man,
tough.
Dude looked like a killer. But this kid hung with them strictly from his boxing and keeping his hands up. So I went to go interview him after so not Tyrone Spong but Angel Dianda, and he was, for lack of a better term, buzzed or whatever.
Sure.
So I put my tape recorder to tape his thing, and he grabbed it out of my hand and looked at it like this, and he gave it back to me because he was just. But dude, just
Tripping
to hang-
balls.
Just to hang for a full 3 rounds with Tyrone Spong was amazing.
Tyrone
You know?
Spong is a very tough guy.
Yeah, it was cool.
Real
That's
tough
another
guy.
one of the things where I'm like, "Hey, Erik, what's up, man?" Whatever, and he was like, and it's because you had a million people around you, dude. Like I said,
Yeah, I was working.
the commission got up to go do something, and he snaked the chair and had a million people around him or whatever.
Yeah.
And that night, Skyscrape was sitting over to my left, and I saw Hitman Dan, and I had Hitman Dan on my. When I was with Sinister, I had him on my show, and we talked, and he was talking about everything was going on. So I see Skyscrape coming this way, and Hitman Dan coming this way, and I'm like, man, I wonder if they still, because they were in court.
Well, there was never really a problem with Scrape.
No, he went up to him and said, "Hey, Dan, what's up?" And he's like,
No,
"Hey,
no,
what's going on, man?" And they were cool.
As a matter of fact, if anything, I would have to imagine that Skyscrape probably got burned or ripped off quite a bit by those guys too. If I had to take a guess, that would be my guess.
He did. He did get broke
and-
off, but not. What
And he never officially really had any ownership, did he? Just
no,
like
he was-
Joker. What
he
did
was
Joker
more
ever
like-
get?
yeah,
What did Joker ever get? You ever get nothing?
He didn't get much, but Skyscrape was more like the face of Tap Out. Like,
Yeah.
one of the guys. That's
Yeah,
the
for
face
sure, one of-
and he made it clear when we were with him. He said, "Hey, man, I'm just here to do my thing. Whatever you guys need me to do or whatever, I'm totally down." Dan was trying to do most of the business or whatever, and Charles was just trying to get that name out there, just trying to get that Tap Out name out there. So
They sure did that,
right,
right? It took over the globe.
Yeah,
So-
it started off so good, and then the way it went down. I mean, Tap Out single-handedly killed the MMA apparel business because they burned so many retailers. I can tell you because I work for so many clothing companies. Tap Out, ABG, and Kreiner and those guys burned so many retailers that for years to this day, if retailers find out a brand is involved in MMA, they will tell you they don't want you now. They don't want the big stores. If they find out you're involved in MMA, like, we don't want you.
we were talking about that before you got here, about Mark Kreiner and people
Kreiner.
like that. Yes. So once we get off the air, we'll talk a little bit more
Chop it
Why are we gonna do that?
or whatever because
Well,
I still have.
Did you sign an NDA?
I
I
have
didn't. I'll say whatever.
A few
Okay.
dealings with a few different. Well, let me just put it this way, okay? I've seen and heard a lot of stuff, but to us, to Sergio and I, who were the Tapped Out locals, never had a problem with them. I mean, he even gave us his credit card and said, "Go and stay at the Mandalay for a couple of
Who's
months."
that, Kreiner?
Kreiner.
Yeah, of course, because he was spending everyone else's money.
Yes.
So cool. I'll give you money that's not mine too.
This is true. This is true. So I really can't.
I
say
keeping that.
much, but no matter where you go, there's always Mexicans that work in the warehouse. And when we would go there,
Go figure.
they would tell us, you know, they say, hey man, this is going on and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, you know, I'm just a figurehead here just like them. So anyways, that all felt, you know, especially when Charles died, it all fell down or whatever. But it seems like you yourself, because Punkcast has went into a bunch of different stuff, opened frozen yogurt shops and all that. Skyscraper just kind of fell by the wayside. He took his share and he's done with it. Now yourself, you've parlayed that into a lot of different things. Talk about the cbcdrip.com.
Well,
I say CBD.
You said CBC. It's okay.
I didn't have my glasses on, man.
I just been fortunate that even though I've been an athlete all my life, and I've actually gotten paid now to do 4 sports in my life, and all my life since I was a teenager, as an athlete, I always knew that I had to have like a main gig or like something to fall back on. So I started working in the marketing department at Gotcha Clothing when I was 17 years old under Cameron Steele, who's like my big brother. He was the marketing director there. And I learned a ton about marketing and action sports since I was literally a teenager. And I was very fortunate to be around very smart people like Cameron Steele, like Michael Thompson, who's the creator of Gotcha. I got to learn a lot of stuff, and I've always kept that in the back of my head. And while I was competing as an athlete, I always got paid to have a marketing job. And now it's gotten to the point where I'm able to consult for several different people. Right now, the main project I'm working on is what you're looking at out there is a company called CBD Drip. Right. Basically, for those who don't know, CBD is the medically beneficial part of hemp and marijuana. CBD does not get you high. What gets you high is THC. But there's tons of medical benefits to hemp and marijuana. We've just taken out the part that gets you high, and that is illegal. So this product is legal in all 50 states. It's legal in most countries around the world, and it has tremendous benefits. And we're really looking to push the healthy, active sports lifestyle. So we've hired 5 pretty big athletes. You see right there, Alina McFarland. She's fighting for the Bellator title here in a week and a half, 2 weeks in the inaugural. I think it's a 115-pound title fight. We have TJ Ellis, Matt Mitrione.
Matt Mitch.
Yeah,
so he's been flying under the radar. I think he's finally starting to come out, right?
He's doing pretty well. I mean, so we got TJ Ellis, who's an X Games BMXer. Yeah. You can see right there, Sonny Garcia. Sonny Garcia is a former world champion of surfing. Matt Mitrione as well. He was a former NFL lineman. His last fight, he just KO'd Fedor. Yeah. And then right now we're coming to an agreement with Billy Kemper, who competes on the Big Wave World Tour. So we're really pushing the healthy, active outdoor lifestyle with hemp and not with marijuana or THC. Right. And it's crazy because I'm not a cannabis person. I'm not super into weed. I never really got into that kind of stuff. But CBD as a medical benefit is overwhelming the stories I'm hearing. It's helping people with everything from cancer to tumors to Hodgkin's disease, Parkinson's disease, people who have blood diseases, and it's helping so many people. If I told you how many texts and emails I feel today about who I'm helping, you wouldn't believe it unless I showed you. It's unbelievable. As a matter of fact, one of the greatest stories so far with our brand is Sonny Garcia. Sonny Garcia is a former world champion of surfing. He's got the biggest heart ever. His sister is having some problems with some tumors and stuff, and he asked me, do you guys make any real condensed something like a real strong batch of CBD for somebody with tumors? I said, yeah, we do have it. So I started sending that to his sister. She called me within 2 days and said, and she was in tears. She was so happy. She said, since taking your product 2 days ago, the last 2 nights, I've slept through the whole night for the first time in a year. Before that, I was waking up every night in pain from my cancer. I wake up in tears every night crying. I couldn't sleep. And I took your product the first night I slept through the night. Yeah. So this is a very expensive, concentrated version of our product. Yeah. And Sonny's such a great guy. He called me and said, is that stuff, is it real expensive? I said, yeah, it's very expensive. He said, does my salary cover it? I said, yeah. He goes, don't pay me. Just send this to my sister every month. That for sponsoring me, and I have your stickers. I'll wear your clothes. I do whatever you need. Just take care of my sister.
There's got to be something to it, because Scotty Nelson, same thing. He talks a lot about that, the hemp. And
I think the information's out there. People have medically.
It's a category that is growing exponentially right now. With with more and more people understanding the medical benefits of cannabis. Also, so again, I'm not a cannabis person. I don't smoke weed, but the people who do smoke weed, I mean, it's becoming legal all over the country. Recreational use in many states. People recognize the benefits. So it's only a matter of time. The problem is, of course, pharmaceutical companies, they don't want all these other people coming in and offering this healthy, all these natural, non-addictive answers to their pain problems, to their anxiety problems, and their sleep problems. Well, those are the three things my athletes are using this most for. They're able to sleep really well. They're using it for pain and inflammation, and some are using it for anxiety.
Right. So that's cbddrip.com.
Yeah.
That's the name. If you want to check that out, hey, man, the proof is right there. So you talk about some of the people that you sponsor or whatever. So are you still active in the MMA and you've got some fighters going?
So, yeah, we have two fighters right now. We have Matt Mitrione. We have Alina McFarland. I'm definitely looking to, I want to do some advertising with them in the MMA world, endemically in mixed martial arts, to let that world know that we're supporting those athletes. But those, at least for the next 6 months to a year, those will be the only fighters that I'm involved with. I mean, we're involved in a lot of other stuff. I got big plans for the brand with events like Coachella out here at the desert, next year.
What, like set up a booth or?
Well, there's a lot of companies that get involved with parties and events and stuff like that. We have a really good relationship with the guys at Weed Maps. I talk to them every single day. They're building their own resort.
It's a huge operation.
For Coachella.
Yeah.
They're building a resort.
Sure.
And in that resort, they have they already got a licensed dispensary within their own resort. They want to do a 25 to 50,000 person event on their own next to Coachella.
Yeah.
So we might have some involvement in that. There's also some other opportunities that I have out there. I know a lot of people who run, because a lot of the nightlife people from Hollywood and Vegas run events out there. I know a lot of those people, so I'll probably have the brand be involved with them.
Man, it's amazing how much stuff that he's into.
Yep.
I'm in my 50s, dude. I'm in bed by 8:30. I mean, if I'm awake before 9 o'clock, it's
So you just passed your bedtime.
So yeah, we go to Coachella or whatever. So I'm gonna need some CBD drip.
It's so funny because I took my girlfriend who's 25 to Coachella this year for the first time, and Coachella's three days, right?
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but usually people go, they're out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Literally within 24 hours, not even the first 24 hours, like 18 hours, first night, she's like, I can't get in. I don't know how you guys do this. I gotta go home.
Yeah.
She was like panicking, and I was like, babe, this is the first day.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Long way to go. Well,
better buckle up, honey.
My youngest is 23 and my oldest is 27. So that tells you right there. I'm like 8:30. I'm done. I had enough. What they do was their business or whatever. But I got to tell you, man. When I said I was going to have Erik on, I got a lot of emails and a lot of messages and stuff, and they're like, "Man, that dude's got so much going on." And of course, you get a lot of positive and you get a lot of negative. I don't know. That dude's always been a player. He's always been, running over people. But that's just haterism, right? I mean, it comes with the territory.
Well, one thing with me is there's no hiding anything.
Yeah.
I wear my heart on my sleeve. I say exactly what I feel about anybody and everybody. So not everybody's going to like it.
Yeah.
To me, it is what it is. I would rather have some people out there who are mad at me for things I've said than live a life where I'm afraid to say what I feel.
Exactly.
Because I wouldn't be able to live it myself.
Exactly. So what's the main goal? This has been my main goal since I got started. Is ever since the sport of MMA's come around, I've always loved it. Especially with Delo's influence and stuff like
Absolutely.
that. I work for King of the Cage. I see what goes on and what it takes.
What's going on at King of the Cage these days?
Well, they got so much. They can do 3 shows in any part of the world at the same time because they have so many.
And Terry's not involved anymore?
He is.
He is.
Well,
I need to have a talk with Terry.
I deal a lot with Julie more than Terry.
Terry selling his library of King of the Cage to UFC Fight Pass, and I'm all over that. And I guarantee you right now, Terry doesn't have a contract for me that says he can sell the rights to my voice to anybody.
Terry Trebilcock, get a hold of.
Needs to be calling me.
Get a hold of him here.
Before I send something called a cease and desist to the UFC, and guess what? If that happens, they will call Terry, and it will not sound good.
Exactly. Well,
Terry should call me.
Okay, I'll have him do that. Well, if I see him, I usually deal mostly with you. Terry's.
Terry, but see, there's a thing called assignable rights, and I know Terry doesn't have assignable rights for me. I guarantee it. Hey, Terry paid me in cash probably 90% of the time.
Oh yeah.
I signed that that said you could sell my voice to UFC.
That was way back in.
Yeah, with Saboba.
That's back in Saboba days when we had the show, and I would tell him, Terry, give us a 30-second spot, man. We want to be. And he'd go, well, I only have 2 and one's in Palm Springs. Can you guys drive down to Palm Springs and go pick it up? I'm like, no, driving to Palm Springs.
Pick up a what?
Pick up a little 30-second spot to put for King of the Cage at Saboba on a radio show.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? That's when Delo and Thomas Kenny were just starting out. With
Sure.
King of the Cage.
Thomas Kenny was making $20,000 to fight Chumps because he sold so many tickets.
Exactly.
And so did what's his name? The Vietnamese dude. Hung,
Nam
not
Phan?
Hung. Nam have Olive Garden Grill with the fight. Terry would be like, you can fight anybody you want. You sell that many tickets. I don't care.
Exactly. And it's still, that's how it is today. They sell a certain amount of tickets, especially with the amateurs, right? That's how they.
Now, do they still get half the ticket sales about? Is that the deal?
They get a percentage.
I remember
if you hustle,
when I was there, we
makes
made
money.
half, which people can say what they want about Terry, but he gave you an opportunity to make some money, so that's a good thing. I see kids. I saw a kid I know the other day. He fought, and the promoter offered him like 10% of his ticket sales, and I was like, 10%. Tell the guy switch those numbers around. I'll give you 10%.
Yeah. Well, since they're amateur.
So at least Terry gave us the opportunity to make some money back.
Yeah, it gives them a chance to say, that's how they tell me. If you hustle, man, you're going to make some money. But
Yep.
if you just, stagnant, it's not going to happen. So they do hustle out there. Let me tell you, I just did the Future Legends 39 was 2 weeks ago or whatever. Vegas, far and away the hotbed of MMA.
Of course.
The UFC was
The fight
in town.
capital of the world.
Yeah, King of the Cage was in town. It was so somber after the shooting. And
Oh, yeah, of
that was the
course.
first time I've been to Vegas, and there was like nothing. I mean, it was just very low key, or whatever. It wasn't the buzz.
It's
that it
interesting
was.
to hear that because nobody's talking about that.
No,
So it was just
not at all.
quiet.
No, I've heard that. I have a lot of friends in Vegas who've told me the town's pretty dead,
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
mellow. But that's all. I mean, of course.
Now, Vegas, far and away the hotbed of mixed martial arts. Albuquerque coming up itself, right?
What? Come on, you got 2 gyms out there. It ain't gonna get any better.
Yep.
In Albuquerque?
It's not coming up. What? Like another super gym's gonna spring up down the street from
But,
Jackson Winklejohn?
well,
Come
so
on.
many people are leaving camps to go train over there, in Albuquerque. A lot of people have left. Ray Bourne left his camp to go train at John Wayne
Yeah,
or whatever.
I mean that gym is growing and continuing to, of
Yeah,
course.
so, I mean...
But I don't know about the rest of the town. Just that gym.
That's true. Honestly, dude, they haven't really jumped up into the 20th centuries because when I go, there's still a lot of dirt roads.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff like that.
Cactus.
Yeah.
You
So-
gotta go far. You gotta go far. You gotta go far if you want to train some Gaido Jitsu.
Exactly. So...
You know that's what it was called, right?
Yes, I do.
You know that's what it was.
I've heard.
Jackson School was called Gaido Jitsu back in the
Yes.
day.
So, what do you think about the future of MMA? I mean, I think it's took a turn, more business, because before, like you said, man, we used to have fun. And the UFC used to be, you have to be a bad dude to be in the UFC. And it's more business oriented now. Give us your thoughts
There's
on
a
that.
couple things. Number one, when I first started fighting, people who competed in MMA, we were fighters.
Right.
Nowadays, there's a lot of guys who are athletes who happen to fight,
Right.
but they're not fighters. Chuck Liddell is a fighter. Chuck Liddell, he didn't start competing in MMA to make money or be famous. Chuck likes to hurt people. He enjoys that.
Right.
It makes him happy to put you down and put you on your ass or knock you out.
Right.
And that's what I grew up in. Like I wanted to be better than someone and beat them and let them know that I'm better than you.
Right.
That was cool to me. When I first started fighting, my first fight I probably made $500. My first fight was Gladiator Challenge. I drove up to Table Mountain,
Right.
up and halfway up, Central California, and I just was fighting because I was training every day. I was training with good guys. I wanted to compete, and I just wanted to do it because I loved it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden one day I was 8-0, 9-0, and I had 2 belts, and I was getting offers to fight at the Hard Rock Hotel in Vegas on TV and WEC
Right.
and all this stuff. So that just kind of happened. Nowadays I think guys see like, well, that's an
opportunity.
That's an opportunity for a career
Yeah.
and for me to make money because I'm an athlete. I can do it. But they're not not all these guys are killers.
Yeah.
When I first started fighting, I fought dudes who wanted to hurt me.
It's rare. It is kind of rare to see.
Like
someone
nowadays,
kill.
a guy wants to win. Like if I fight somebody, he wants to beat me.
Yeah.
Back then, I would fight a dude who wanted to hurt me.
Right.
It's like a different
It
thing.
seemed like Rhonda had that killer instinct because she was, just coming up and wanted to help herself. But maybe Joanna, she looks like she wants.
Joanna's a fighter.
Yeah, she was put
Joanna's
down.
not an athlete. Joanna's
Yeah.
a fighter.
Yeah.
Joanna comes from a Muay Thai background where she enjoys elbowing your forehead apart.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she actually went to Thailand and
Yeah.
trained and to better herself.
Yeah.
To kick people's.
Sure.
rear ends.
It's different, yeah. I mean, and I also think that because of the opportunity for athletes to compete in MMA and make a lot of money, because we're starting to see those opportunities now that we didn't used to have. We will, and also because that we've had parents who have had their 6-year-olds enrolled in jiu-jitsu and boxing and wrestling since they're 6 years old. I think the level of athlete, it's already started to change, but in the next 10 years, the level of athlete competing in MMA, everybody's gonna look like Mighty Mouse in 5-10 years.
Right.
Every guy is going to have amazing wrestling, amazing submissions, and amazing stand-up.
Imagine growing up in a world with just MMA. That's all you know. There's not even individual disciplines. They're going to school and they're learning MMA as a conjoined thing.
Yeah,
not individual disciplines.
I mean, when I first started training and fighting in 2002, 2003, I learned wrestling, I learned jiu-jitsu, I learned striking all at the same time. But even back then, I would compete against guys. My first couple of fights, I would compete against guys who really were only good at one thing, maybe two at the most.
Sure.
But there was never dudes back then who were all good at all three, right? Nowadays, everyone's got to be good at all three.
It's changed tremendously. For the people listeners, Erik Apple I could probably do 2 hours with him, because it's been,
got stories for days.
Exactly. From
I love
the beginning.
it.
And not only that, not just stopped, but just kept going and turned it into something else and really made something of it. So real quick for the people listeners, if you want to check out cbddrip.com, we talked a little bit about that. Make sure you check that out.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, CBD Drip. Also find us on Weed Maps if you use Weed Maps.
Weed Maps, if you want.
Which Weed Maps another thing. Those guys are some smart dudes.
It's exploding, man.
Worth almost $2 billion now.
It's huge.
I need to start a website to sell some advertising.
Business, man. Get on that Weed Maps or whatever. Yep. So, last question before you go. We talk a lot about this on the show. We have questions of the day. The biggest one that we get a lot of feedback on. Me personally, I think that octagon is way too big. When you can turn your back and literally run from somebody, it's way too big. You who fought in the King of the Cage, that cage, there's no running. You turn around, that guy's right in your face. So you have to fight. You can't turn around and run. You think the UFC cage is way too big?
I don't personally. I like the bigger cage. I like to see guys have room to set up and do what they want to do. I think a fight that's too close like that and too tight, I think it's sloppy. And when you force a fight like that, sometimes it just comes down to which guy gets lucky and lands a punch first because they're forced into fighting. Right. It's not a set up, actual planned attack on both sides.
Right.
So I might be one of the few people who have a different opinion.
Well, I just say that because I get blown up just walking into jiu-jitsu class.
Sure.
Or whatever. So if I'm going to that octagon and I got to chase somebody, I'm going to be blown up with the first couple of minutes.
No, but he brings up a valid point, a strategy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't go into war without
I like to see two guys who have time and have room to apply their strategies and see who wins best. Not two guys who are forced into too much action and rushed into it, and then one guy just happened to catch the other guy first.
Yeah, because that shit never bother Chuck Liddell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big, small, whatever, he's going to knock you out.
Yep.
And you're going to get hit.
You got to close the distance one way or the other.
Right.
Right?
Man, let me tell you something. When we first started the show and all that, when I moved over here, I said, man, there's a few people that I want to get on because I'm telling you, you get them on, they're gonna be honest with you, and Erik Apple was one of them.
Hell yeah.
So to get him on here legitimizes a show like Full Contact Fanatics. So for the people listening at home, make sure you check it out. Check out the cbdrip.com. Google Erik Apple is there for yourself. You can see the guy's got so many things going on and just didn't stop. Kept going and moving in the direction.
I'm still training every day. I train Aruka every morning.
There's not one day where you're not busy.
Yeah, I train Aruka in the mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what do you just?
I'm in there with Bisping and Cyborg and a lot of good guys.
Oh, is that over at what's the private gym over
it's
there?
It's Ruka.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, in Costa Mesa.
Oh, okay. That's the one that's all white.
Yeah.
Hey, we gotta do a gym crashers over there.
We do gotta do gym crashers.
For sure. Definitely.
Miguel doesn't go anywhere that's all white, but I'll take him.
Real quick, any Christina Cyborg Santos stories? Because I have one from when they had the big fitness expo.
I don't really have any crazy Cyborg stories. The one thing I want to say about Chris is that it really bothers me the amount of heat that she gets.
I agree 100%.
People are really cold and really rude and really mean. Chris failed one test 5-7 years ago. She's the second most tested athlete by USADA now. She's passed all of her tests.
Right.
And more importantly, Chris is one of the nicest ladies that you could ever meet. And when I see the way people talk about her, it really bothers me because she's a very sweet lady, and she is a lady. She's not just an animal or a warrior or a fighter. She's a really sweet person, and I wish her nothing but the best. And it's nice to see that she's finally a champion in the UFC. And, I'm going to tell the truth. It's pretty laughable to think anyone's going to take that belt away from her for a while.
Ain't
no one taking
Glad
that
to hear
belt,
that.
let me tell you. I sparred Chris, and I know what she's capable of.
When you give up your title because you don't want to fight her, that says something.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'd rather give up the title than fight her. I don't want to fight her. It makes no sense. But when she was with Hitman, And we were with Tappa. We're doing a live show at the Fitness Expo, and this knucklehead kid that was about 16 years old said he wanted her to punch him in the chest. And through the translation, they finally did it. She, like Babalu, she hit that kid so hard, and just caved in his chest. It was the funniest thing we ever. And that's when she was married to Evangelista. I thought the dude spoke Spanish.
The other cyborg.
I'm talking to him in Spanish for days or whatever, and he's just laughing, nodding his head and all that. Didn't understand a word I said.
Well,
So-
usually people speak Portuguese.
It-
Fala
yeah, he-
português.
so he caught a few
Entiendo
words.
español.
Yeah, he caught a few words here and there.
Conozco.
Yeah, it was just because I'm trying to tell him she just caved in this kid's chest, and he's like, "Yeah, she does it all the time," or whatever. So it was hilarious, but it's true. I've seen her carrying Randy Couture's wife. She had some sort
Kim?
of surgery. Kim. She had a surgery or something, and I'm like, "Why is she carrying her?" Whatever. She goes, "Oh, she just had surgery, and I don't want her to walk or whatever." So I don't want to ruin anybody's reputation, but not one of the nicest people we've ever.
That's
She's
pretty
amazing.
cool, right?
Absolutely.
Chris
That's
is
pretty
a great
cool.
lady.
Well, Eric, I got to tell you, man, we got to definitely have to get you back on the show. We'll talk a little bit more, get in depth.
Just give
little
Eric
bit
a
more about
microphone,
stuff
man.
Yeah, man, let him go.
I wanna listen.
Well, that's what you were in the
love
business
it.
for a little while. Had your own show for a little while.
Yeah,
right?
we had 2 American Animals going for quite a while. I mean, we could start it up again anytime, but I've honestly been so busy with
Yeah.
with CBD Drip and also Janus Sports and Marketing, who I'm consulting with and helping sign athletes too. That's been going so well that I've had to put the podcast to
Burner.
the side.
Yeah.
Just driving to LA, every maybe twice a week or so is just too much for me right now.
Well, you can see why. I mean, legit, been around for a long time. Not like me, who gets choked out by 8-year-old girls and stuff like that. I'm in the business, but I got to tell you, with
I
that
got a
E,
25-year-old girl trying to choke me every day.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
She
what
looks
you
tough.
see. No wonder you need CBD drip and all that, man. You got to keep up with the time. So for the people listeners, don't forget, check it out. CBDrip.com.
CBD Drip.
CBD.
CBDdrip.com. See? CB, that's why I got to keep the glasses close, okay?
It's a neuroprotectant, so it'll help you.
CBDrip.com. Make sure you check it out. You can Google Eric Apple, check out what he's got going on. He's on all social media too. You were kind of slow on your Facebook. You don't keep up because you got so much going on, but you keep up on the Instagram and Twitters and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So follow him on there. He'll tell you everything that's going on. I mean, it's just a plethora of things
That's awesome.
that are going
I
on.
can already hear
Plethora?
it coming out of me. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Would you say I have a plethora?
A plethora of things going on.
Jefe,
So,
do you know what a plethora is? I would like to know that if you say I have a plethora, that you know what a plethora is.
Yes. Absolutely. So make sure you check them out. Don't forget, got a lot of stuff coming up on Gym Crashers. We'll keep everybody posted on that. Make sure you check that out. And don't forget, we're here every Monday from 8 to usually go to about 9:15 at Full Contact Fanatics. Make sure you check us out every Monday right here. Eric Apple, everybody, make sure you check them out. We'll see everybody here next Monday. Don't forget, Gym Crashers coming up too.
Cool.
Word is bond.
That's right.
That's Ariel's favorite new term, word. Word is bond. Word is bond.